Good morning, my dear sisters and brothers, wherever you are watching me from. My name is Father Benil Palata Oyemai, and today I will present an integrative case of Hubert using a Catholic, Christian, and clinical perspective to explore work, family, and vocation balance. This presentation integrates theology, psychology, and counseling practice grounded in the Catholic Christian meta model of the person. Our goal is to understand Hubert's dilemma and suggest holistic strategies to restore balance and flourishing. Looking at the case overview, Hubert is a successful professional, the sole income provider for his family, and recently he was notified that his current position will be terminated due to a corporate fusion or merge. Fortunately, he has been offered a similar position in another state with a higher salary. The conflict arises because his wife, Cynthia, refuses to relocate. She is the primary caregiver for her younger sister, Patricia, who suffers from Marfan syndrome and requires daily support. Hubert is experiencing significant anxiety, insomnia, agitation, and withdrawal from family interactions. His dilemma exemplifies role conflict, where professional and familial responsibilities compete. Looking at the problems or presenting problems, psychologically, Hubert shows generalized anxiety and insomnia, coupled with emotional isolation and marital conflict. He struggles to communicate effectively with Cynthia and to cope with the demands of his roles. When we look at vocational and spiritual, Hubert faces a conflicted sense of duty. He feels torn between providing financially and honoring his wife's commitment to her sister. This tension diminishes his peace and his trust in God's providence, making discernment difficult. In essence, his symptoms signal a disintegration among his multiple vocations. When we look at theological and vocational lens, from a Catholic Christian perspective, human work participates in God's creative action. St. John Paul II presents that. Vocation is not just what we do, but who we become through love, expressed in family, expressed in service, and expressed in professional life. Conflict occurs when one vocation overshadows another, leading to imbalance and internal stress. The goal is the integration of all vocations under the primacy of love. God first, family second, and work third. In Hubert's case, both his work and family are expressions of love, but they must be reordered according to charity and reason. When we look at the psychological conceptualization from a clinical lens, Hubert's stress arises from competing demands, cognitive distortions such as I must provide alone or Cynthia doesn't understand. These amplify anxiety. Attachment and emotional patterns show that Hubert is withdrawing from both his wife and Patricia, which worsens marital tension. His coping mechanisms like overworking and emotional isolation are maladaptive and unsustainable. Psychologically, helping Hubert requires interventions targeting cognition, communication, and adaptive stress management. Catholic Christian meta model of the person. The CCMMP emphasizes dignity, emphasizes freedom for love, emphasizes relationality, virtue, and integration. Hubert must recognize that his identity is not solely tied to being a provider, but as a person made in God's image. Authentic freedom allows him to serve truth and vocation, balancing his roles with virtue. Relationality, communion with God, spouse, and others grounds human flourishing. Integration of faith, reason, and moral action is essential for resolving his inner conflict. Therapy and spiritual formation work hand in hand to restore this unity. Looking at virtue and self-care framework. Virtue guides practical discernment. Prudence enables his decision making. Justice calls Hubert to honor obligations to both family and employer. Fortitude gives courage to face uncertainty, and temperance fosters balance between ambition and rest. Self-care is critical also. It is not selfish, but a spiritual discipline. Piper describes leisure as the basis of culture, receptivity that allows God's grace to work in our lives. Restorative practices such as prayer, family time, and spiritual direction help Hubert sustain his vocation without burnout. Looking at the integrative intervention plan. A holistic approach addresses psychological, relational, and spiritual dimensions. Clinical interventions, cognitive behavioral therapy for anxiety, stress management, and sleep hygiene. Second, relational stroke family interventions, couples counseling to restore empathy and communication, plus family meetings for shared decision making. Third, spiritual discernment, prayerful reflection with a spiritual director, considering vocation in light of love and unity, along with his Sabbath rest and self-care routines. Therefore, therapy and spiritual formation are complementary paths toward integration. Importantly, decisions about relocation should involve Hubert and Cynthia together, not in isolation. Expected outcomes. With this integrated plan, we expect decreased anxiety and insomnia, improved communication, and restored mutual empathy. Hubert can reorder priorities, placing family before career advancement, while deepening his faith and trust in God's providence. Furthermore, he will grow in virtue, understanding that challenges are opportunities for moral and spiritual development. Ultimately, success is measured by restored inner peace and flourishing, not only external problem resolution. In conclusion, Hubert's case illustrates the tension between multiple vocations. Integration of faith, psychology, and virtue is key to human flourishing. True balance comes from right ordered love. God first, family second, work third. As spiritual reminds us, as scripture reminds us, come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. When vocation is lived as love, work and family cease to compete. They cooperate in sanctifying the person. Thank you for listening.